Hi everyone, this is BritSimon. Welcome to another video. I wanted to record a video to talk about the appeals hearing that will be heard in 2 days' time. Now, this appeal affects DV2020 and DV2021, right? And there are a number of cases that have all been sort of combined together in order to be held an appeal. The appeal hearing will be held to discuss all of these lawsuits because they have very similar sort of law behind them. They have very similar sort of asks from the lawyers, etc. Very similar issues, and so they're all combined. Of course, the DV2020 lawsuits were actually combined under the Gomez lawsuit. So there are a number of lawsuits which are sort of all combined under that one. And then in DV2021, the two largest lawsuits were the Good Luck and Go cases, but there's a couple of other lawsuits as well. And all of the arguments to be held in the appeal relate to all of those cases, right? So now you'll be able to listen in to the lawsuit, to the appeal. You'll be able to listen in. There is a YouTube channel. We'll be able to listen in live. It'll start at 9:30 in the morning Eastern time. I'll publish below the video. There'll be a clock to show you what time it is in Washington D.C. because the appeal is in Washington D.C. And also I'll publish the link for the for the hearing itself, so you can listen in. But that's going to be a pretty good time of day, I think, for most countries around the world. So I'm glad they're doing it at that time. I don't think that was the reason they chose the time, but I'm glad they're doing it at that time. It means a very early start for me. It's 6:30 a.m. here, but that's fine. Okay, so I want to just talk about what will happen in the appeal, what the format will be. This is a panel hearing in front of 3 judges. Now, the judges are Judge Srinivasan. Let me just show you let me just show you the names here. So, Judge Srinivasan, who is he is a 55-year-old. He's the chief judge. He's a 55-year-old gentleman. Very good track record. He was made a DC judge. He was put on the federal court judges by Obama in 2013. So, some people like to know the political leaning, if you like, or the president that elected this judge. So this gentleman is Obama, from Obama, right? The other one, Judge Henderson, is significantly older. Bless her. She's 78 years old. Very strong track record and was appointed by George Bush. Very long career, excellent education. Good judge, very good judge. There's no problem there. Now, Bush was a Republican, of course, but frankly, no issues with that. Judges are they follow the law, not the politics. Normally, there are some recent exceptions to that, but. Judge Katsas, Gregory Katsas. Now he's a young man. He's just a few days younger than me. I'm looking at this information here. He was appointed by Donald Trump. Now I'm not worried about that. His education, his background. I mean, he is a very very legitimate judge appointee, and the fact that Trump appointed him shouldn't make any difference at all. This is absolutely no problem. So I believe we've got 3 good judges, and in terms of the people talking on the day, there is going to be some time allotted for several lawyers to represent different aspects of the lawsuit, and so the lawyers have agreed an order and also an allocation of time. So the first 30 minutes will be taken up by the government lawyer. Now, imagine this process. So perhaps I should just step back. the appeals court will have been provided with all of the documentation to this point, all of the declarations, all of the information, all of the arguments will already have been put in front of them and made in writing, right? The same thing that Judge Mehta had looked at and other judges. So they have all of that information. The points made by each of the lawyers, whether it's for the government or whether it's for the plaintiffs or the appellants, appellees as they're called here, the points made by those will be in the form of oral argument. That will give the judges an opportunity to question and to probe the lawyers on aspects that they would like clarification of, right? And they're going to probe in both directions. They're not going to be, it's not going to be immediately obvious which way they lean in terms of how they feel this outcome will be. They're going to be playing devil's advocate. They're going to be challenging lawyers from both sides and probing for information, probing for positions, and asking, I'm sure, some tough questions. The lawyers have to know their stuff. They absolutely do. I know the lawyers on our side certainly do. They have to know their arguments. They have to know them, you know, back to front, because they have to be able to react to whatever questions the judges want to put forward to them. So it'll be an interesting process. So 30 minutes for Cara Alsterberg. Is it Alsterberg? Yeah, Alsterberg. Then Jesse Bless is going to be talking for 15 minutes, and he'll be talking about these issues: 1182F, which is well, it's the president's ability to make these decisions, delay and withholding, reservation of visas, and basically he's going to go into the legal aspects behind those topics, right? Then there's going to be 15 minutes dedicated to Rafael Euena, who's going to talk about prioritization, the relief to non-parties, and standing. Okay, standing's a part of the law that says you have to have standing, you have to have reason in order to bring a lawsuit, and they need to establish that they always need to establish that they've still got standing in this case. Charles Kuck is going to have a few minutes for cross appellants. Charles Kuck in the Go case has challenged the number of visas set aside for the DV2021 case. That's why there's that particular time in there. He's trying to argue for the number of visas reserved to be increased. That's his particular sort of challenge. Nicolette Glazer is going to also be talking. I'm not quite sure what aspect she's got, but she's got one of the smaller cases here, and the same thing can be said for Julia Greenberg. So again, she's on our side, right? And so that's going to be roughly the format. You can sort of understand the format. It's going to be 3 panel judges, a panel of 3 judges, I should say. They'll be asking questions. The lawyers will be responding to those questions, and that will be the oral argument. So it'll go on for 10, 20, 25, 40, at least an hour to an hour and a half, I would say. It's quite likely they could go over or under on some of these times if they want to. This is the approximate order, but they could go a little bit longer if they wanted to, or if they needed to, according to what the judges want to do, right? Okay, so that's what's going to happen on the day. That's September 16th. That's 2 days from now. Fairly early morning from my point of view, but it'll be different times of day depending on where you are in the world, and you'll be able to listen in on YouTube. It's an audio feed on YouTube. It will not be cameras, unfortunately. I had thought about going there actually just to sort of watch the whole thing, but I'm frankly busy at work anyway, so I wasn't able to travel. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that. Now, an important question: when will we have a decision? It absolutely won't be on the day, right? The judges are not going to, under any circumstances, they're not going to say, oh yeah, this is an easy decision. We're going to go ahead and decide for this side or the other. It will take weeks, possibly even months after September 16th in order to get a final decision, okay? The lawyers have separately indicated that they think it could take 2 to 3 months to get a decision. So mid-September, mid-October, November, December. Yeah, it could be December or January before we get the actual final outcome of this. And even at that point, it may not be the final outcome, because this is an appeals court. It's an appeal. It's a step up from Judge Mehta's court. It's an appeal of the decisions that he made, for example. But it's not the final appeal that could be possible. Either side could appeal this decision. And it's possible, I don't know if it's likely, but it's possible that this could go all the way up to the Supreme Court. Okay, so the fight will, hopefully it will go in our favor. And hopefully the government just say, yeah, fair enough. We made the system changes already. We understand what you're telling us. We don't really like the decision, but we'll go ahead and issue the visas. I hope that's what they'll do, because frankly, we need to move past this point where we've got constant lawsuits in order to get the rights of the DV lottery candidates. In DV 2020 and 2021, that was certainly important. And DV 2022 was helped by the lawsuits. But really from DV 2023 onwards, there shouldn't really be the need for any of these lawsuits. And so we need to get past this point that, the process needs to be run properly, fairly, and hopefully the points that have been made in these lawsuits will be, how things are run in the future. The government will be more fair-minded in the way it treats people. Okay, so that's basically, I think, what I wanted to cover. I just wanted to explain that. And listen in if you can on Friday. I'm going to be listening in. I'm going to be cancelling some meetings to make sure I have time to listen in on this. It'll be interesting to hear the arguments being made. And best of luck to all of the lawyers speaking. I'm sure you'll do us proud, and you'll do the best you can. So fingers crossed, and let's hope these 3 judges agree with Judge Mehta. I think Judge Mehta's opinions and judgment on this matter was pretty good. I didn't agree with everything he said. I do agree that the number of visas for DV 2021 cases needs to be appealed. I wish there were more in DV 2020, but at this point, there's at least 20,000 visas, that are up for grabs by, on the outcome of this appeal. So it's extremely important that we get this through. And I'm very anxious, as I'm sure many of you are, to see a win in this case, a final win. All right, everybody, thanks for listening in. Please tune in on Friday. Let's see what happens. And I'm sure on Friday I'll probably make a video to discuss the outcome, or to discuss not the outcome, but how things went. Okay, so hopefully that will be interesting too. All right, thanks everyone. Bye bye now.